Okay, and we are live with episode 5 of the Honor Club Wrestling Podcast. I'm your co host RGX, flanked as always by Frozzy, aka Smooth Rock, and Rate Wrestle. We'll keep this one brief after our 2.5 hour WrestleMania extravaganza last week. So we'll head straight into the news. So, obviously, the first kind of big story that came out this week was Nash Carter being released by WWE. Obviously, that is due mostly in part to all the allegations surrounding it at the moment, due to their sensitive nature and the fact that the situation is still unfolding. I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but do you guys have anything you want to mention about that?
Nothing at the minute because it's he said, she said, and I'd rather not speculate on stuff that we don't know is 100% from either side. So
Yeah, it's just a bit of a mess. It shouldn't be on Twitter. This kind of thing, people just posting random people just going, this is the reason for this and this, it's just stupid.
Yeah. Certainly from a TV point of view, WWE announced earlier on today that tomorrow night on NXT they're going to be having a 5-team gauntlet to see who's going to be the new NXT Tag Team Champions. If memory serves, let me just bring up the teams involved. But it was Legado del Fantasma, who else? Pretty Deadly. Who else we've got? Grayson Waller and Sanga. Jensen and Briggs. And the Creed brothers. So 5 good teams. I think for me it's probably between Legado del Fantasma and Creed brothers. In my opinion, Creed brothers should have won it at Stand and Deliver, and I seem to have been proven right on that. Certainly shouldn't have been MSK.
hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I just wish that wasn't how I was proven right.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly, are they actually called Pretty Deadly in the NXT now? Because I know they changed their actual in-ring names, but they're still called Pretty Deadly.
They introduced themselves as Elton Prince and Kit Simon, so no, that's
it's
former Chelsea manager, right? Something, and they are still introduced themselves as Pretty Deadly.
So why did they change the? Because Lewis Howley and Sam Stoker it's a fine name. Like what's?
They didn't sound fancy enough.
Elton Prince, yeah.
Sam Stoker is a bit of a working class name, and they're meant to be like fancy boys.
Yeah, to be fair, but it's Kit Wilson and Elton Prince, yeah.
So
we love a good name change.
They might put the title to on Pretty Deadly. I don't know. We'll need to wait and see on that, I suppose.
I think it'll be a bit soon if they did do it.
But it's NXT. Who knows?
Yeah.
On other news, we also have, sadly, similar to Big E's situation, Shinji Otani suffered a serious neck injury at the end of his match for one of the shows at the weekend. Looked really, really bad from seeing the footage. Was taken straight to hospital. Unlike Big E, who was able to give the thumbs up on the way out, Otani was pretty much just completely still, eerily so. Still awaiting outcome of that. I don't know if you've heard anything, Ray.
The news I've heard at the moment, he's in the hospital, but he still can't move he can't move at all.
I read he was conscious and he could talk, but he was just like, can't feel my hands. And yeah, that's never a good sign.
He's an older guy as well, isn't he? So like it's
he's like 49, isn't he?
Yeah.
49, yeah, but he's been around since WCW, Otani. I remember seeing a few matches with him then.
Yeah, he was. If he wasn't in NWO Japan, he was in and around that group. Along with Scott Norton and the like, of course, but Yeah, really sad news. Brings back horrible memories of draws. And we saw he's still in a wheelchair to this day, so hopefully it's not as serious as that, but it did not look good from the footage I saw.
It's especially they all knew instantly they'd start the match. It was just not good.
Yeah.
Did they continue? Was that the main event, or did they continue the show? Did they end the show? What happened in regards to that?
I assume it was the main event because it was the heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So referee decision at 16 minutes, but yeah, it was the last match on the card.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Man was on that card as well. The Creed, talking about the Creeds and Diamond Mine.
So, yeah, in other news, we all saw the main event of WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It was speculated at the time that Roman had injured his arm either by a dislocated shoulder or a torn tricep, something along those lines. However, Dave Meltzer doesn't believe this is the case. He states that's likely exactly how the match was planned to begin with. It's a typical Brock Lesnar match, apparently. But that's according to Dave Meltzer.
He's got a 50-50 chance of being right, hasn't he? So.
When he reports the opposite in a 2 days' time, just in case.
Yeah. And this is the man who gave, practically refused to rate Knoxville and Sami Zayn. So
Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins.
So yeah, forgive me if I'm not putting too much faith in Meltzer because pretty much all the dirt sheets are all reporting slightly different things. Like also saw wrestling.co report earlier that they still don't know what the plan is for Roman holding both titles. They just knew that Brock was going to be taking time off after Mania. So whether there's a long-term plan for Roman, who knows? But I would imagine they'll find some way to keep at least one of the titles on him until WrestleMania next year, so they can face The Rock.
Yeah, they'll just do what they did with Lynch, won't they? He'll have it for a bit and then drop one.
Oh, trying a lot of titles though, aren't they? Because of SmackDown, they're going to try and unify the tag titles as well.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
It might not be that kind of. It might just be one title going forward anyway.
Yeah, I've heard that it's possible that the tag titles remain unified, but the WWE and Universal will stay separate. It's just that Roman's holding both.
Unify everything. Except in US, they can say separate because they're not really.
In the age of the brand split, you do need two world titles because you can't rely on one
agree.
covering both brands.
It seems like they don't care about the brand split as much anymore. Everyone's appearing in everything. Like, it's not really a brand split anymore. It's just kind of we'll appear here and we'll appear there.
Well, we're on the build to Survivor Series, the one night a year where SmackDown and Raw facing one-on-one in direct competition. Survivor Series
main roster versus main roster 2.0. What a fight that'll be.
It's only 7 months away, so they've got to start building to that now, so they're going to be appearing on each other's show in the run-up.
I thought this was just everything that we all knew.
Yeah. I thought that was common knowledge.
Look, that's what.
And in later news, there were 2 wrestling weddings that did not end in someone either going through a cake or going for a table, or the officiant revealing themselves to be Eric Bischoff. We had
or being hung.
Or being hung, indeed. For those who aren't in FPL, that will sound incredibly dark and they'll wonder what we're talking about. But such is the wonder of fantasy prediction wrestling. Anyway, we had Alexa Bliss get married to her long-term partner. Not you, Alexa.
Here's something.
Yes!
Knew that was going to happen. I'm not editing that out.
No, don't. That's mint.
So she married our long-time partner at the weekend. That's the one where all the kind of wrestling figures were out. So they clearly made a choice between Corey's or Bliss's. I'm not going to say her first name due to listening ears, but I'm not setting my echo off again, is what I'm saying.
That's the question.
They're both.
So,
They weren't the same day, were they?
no, but they were within a few days of each other. And I know wrestlers are paid quite well, but that's two different outfits, two different parts of the country. Right. If I had a choice, I would be going to one over the other. I wouldn't be going to both. I was invited to both, but sadly couldn't make it.
I was going to go with Harry Kane to Augusta to watch the final round of the Masters, but just couldn't get the time.
I know. Too busy with a show, that's the problem. So, of course, they did their little nod to The Office, doing their little dancing up the aisles. Did not look as impressive as the show. I think that set the bar too high.
I've recently watched that episode as well of The Office, and it just gets better every time.
Yeah. But at least we're not Braun Strowman, Adam Scher turning up with his mad professor hairdo and pink Crocs to a wedding.
And also, big note, Nia Jax didn't hurt anyone.
Well, she probably shoved Miz. He might have tweaked his ankle on that one.
In a t-shirt as well, like a Bengals t-shirt.
Braun, no, it was like just a bright pink tight t-shirt.
John Mox, his wedding turned up in just a Bengals shirt.
Yeah, like the wedding picture of them, and he's just wearing his hoodie, jeans, and combat boots. It's peak Moxley.
Yeah. Doesn't ever break character. I'm going to a wedding, yeah, I'm wearing this.
You know, all the practice and calling Carmella matches has done Corey well because he is finally able to unleash what we all turn the volume down to hear on a weekly basis. So hopefully he'll be able to get that out of his system for when he returns to commentary in 2 weeks' time. Of course, we've got King to listen to for the next 2 weeks. So
We'll have to turn the crowd volume down every 10 minutes for King.
yeah. So we could well find that we're making that joke even more often with King. So anyway, that's the news for this week. Unless, guys, is there anything I'm missing on the news front?
Nothing of note. There's always news, but some of it's just pants.
A lot of the news I saw as well is just speculation stuff. So I didn't want anything that was kind of spoilery. So that's everything that I felt was important this week. But without further ado, we'll get moving on to our wrestling of the week. Starting off with AEW Dynamite, which aired last Wednesday. Take it away, Ray.
Yeah. Rouge, yeah, so April 6th, Dynamite. It started off with Adam Cole versus Christian Cage, which is a good way to start the show. If you're going to have a good match, that's like a workhorse kind of match. But I don't know if you've got the same opinion as I do, but I'm really like, there's something about Cole that I just don't like anymore. Not as like a wrestler, it's just I can't get behind him anymore. Don't know what it is, but
his TV presentation maybe, but the guy's still an absolute sweetheart on Twitch and stuff.
And not as a person, don't worry. But it's not. I like him as a person. I meant just wrestling. Like it's just. I think he's just a weak challenger, and it's getting worse every week.
Yeah, I see what you mean. There is like an element of believability that's slowly ebbing away. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it specifically, but I think it's maybe just because we've seen it so much, and the plates are just spinning through to next week's Rampage.
And it's just the match was fine. It was going to be a typical Dynamite starter. It's just going to be a good match. But I can't get beyond Cole anymore. there was a weird kick out which I wasn't a fan of as well. That Christian Cage kicked out of the last shot just because his knee pad was up. If his knee pad was down, he wouldn't have kicked out. That was the Excalibur confirmation. It's all about the knee pad.
We've used that in your fall a couple times.
It's just. Yeah. I did like the super kick dive spot. Like I do like when Adam Cole hits that. Christian Cage topped it. It's like the Schumacher Shout and Benjamin one, but less clean. But it's still decent. I really enjoyed the spear near fall that Christian hit on Cole after halfway through the match, and it just ended with the usual Cole needs to cheat to win. So he eye poked him and they hit him with the last shot.
Yeah.
It was a decent match. I gave it 2 and 3/4 stars. So it was good as Zayn and Knoxville.
Whoa.
That's what we're going with
That's
straight
high
away.
praise indeed.
Let's go with high praise. Yeah, that's my narrative.
That needs controlling, mate.
Aye.
What did you guys think?
I thought it was a good match, but yeah, I agree. Mate, I'm getting tired of the chicken shit heel shtick from Adam Cole. I think he works better as a kind of upper mid carder. Like he's been quite exposed. He's not quite believable as a world champion contender. And I think that's maybe why I'm struggling to buy into him.
I think they've done it with him too quick. I think they've moved him there too quickly. Since he's
he's just there.
Position him in a title challenger. He should have just been built a little bit more.
Yeah. He's clearly just. I mean, there's every chance he does get it so he can transition to Punk, but we might put Punk against a face Hangman, but I can see them putting on to a heel to be a transitional champion over to Punk.
Yeah.
So they keep Hangman as one of the top faces in the company. They don't compromise that, putting him against CM Punk.
But yeah, and I've also got a Meltzer rating for that. That's that Meltzer announced his rating for the match, and he rated that 3 and 3/4 stars.
Of course he did.
That's the AEW bonus.
Yeah.
So yeah, a cage match review because we like one of these. Here's a 1-star rating from Cage Match. No assault ant. 1 point for the crowd being hot, so they did what they needed to do. But on a personal level, I feel like nothing of interest happened in this entire match. There was no interest, but it wasn't that bad of a match.
There was interest though, because you saw the frustration from Christian, followed up later in the show when they're interviewing Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. He's like still selling his eye. He just gets annoyed and then buggers off and leaves him there. So I think they're sowing the seeds of a Christian heel turn.
Going to have blue lighting, and then he's going to have his own faction like the Brood. But we'll move on from that. So then, Adam Cole did his usual promo, and it's just getting to the point of making Cole as a number 1 contender as a joke. It's just a running joke at the moment. And then Page comes down and challenges him to a Texas Death Match because, Texas Death Match, we need loads of them.
And threatens
so many Texas Death Matches, like... He's already fought Lance Archer in a Texas Death Match 2 months ago.
Yeah, plus the fact that he actually threatened murder by telling him to get his affairs in order.
You were the buckshot lariat. But yeah, I want any other match. Like they went from a match than a Texas Death Match.
It's a live Dynamite, not Dynamite, Rampage as well, so it's going to be on early. I think they said 7 Eastern. So that's actually a reasonable hour for us to watch it instead of just catching it and fight the next day.
That's going to be that. And then it followed up with Samoa Joe versus Max Caster. Caster with his usual rapping. We're not getting there yet. He mentioned NXT basically by saying that the ratings were down and he was the champ. So that's it. I like that as a cool dig. Samoa Joe already looks happier.
Bright red though. Right.
But Brock Lesnar bright red, but he does look happier being there at the moment. Like it's the vintage Joe squash match. Like he got all his crap in, and then the muscle buster at the end. But that was like a quick finish as well. We just got him up, got him there, and that was down. Like he didn't towards it. It's just muscle buster. Here we go.
It's good to see the Muscle Buster again since WWE had banned that for some reason. I can't remember who.
So the Tyson Kid, weren't it? Tyson Kid breaking his neck, did he, or something like that?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a squash match overall, but it was still a decent for what it was. So I rate that 1.5.
It went less than 3 minutes. So.
It was 2.52, yeah. So yeah, that was that. Jay Lethal appeared on the Titantron. His whole gripe is that Samoa Joe's been ignoring his calls, sadly. And there's going to be a surprise next week.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, the whole thing is they're trying to say Samoa Joe was their teacher, but they were all kind of in Ring of Honor for pretty much day one in the early TNA together. So they would have been trained at the same time. Joe wouldn't have been like an actual trainer at their school, so I don't know where they're getting this whole "you were our trainer"
under his wing
thing.
kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know if that's about it. Like he's a bit older.
But even then, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt were in TNA before him.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm hoping they sent, because they've announced Samoa Joe versus Suzuki, and I want Suzuki to keep the title. So I'm hoping Lethal screws Joe out of this, because I want Suzuki not to have it just for a week, and that's it.
Yeah, it would be nice, but he is also the kind of visiting person. It all depends what they're doing with Ring of Honor long term.
Although at the moment, yeah, so he's always over. So I'm hoping they don't just transition all Suzuki, because it just makes me sad, because I love Suzuki. What's his Murder Grandpa? That's his nickname. That's what I call him. The BCC are getting Rampage over. That was it. Basically, Blackpool Combat Club were just saying, watch Rampage. And I did an hour before this show.
I do love Regal to bits, but he did start it by saying, we're here at Rampage. Forgetting that it wasn't Rampage yet, because they filmed it back to back, of course.
Yeah.
So, that was all I love Regal, but I get caught in that one.
Followed by that, AEW are getting over the narrative that this is a pay-per-view quality show. So following from that was Sean Spears versus Sean Dean.
The Sean v. Sean classic.
The match so important that the Bleacher Report forgot to put it on the results page.
Wardlow this match once again. I was jokingly said I wish he did. Do you know when we first lost the match and I was saying he should be away for like a month, but he's coming back every week and beating up security. Which, to be fair, they are getting it over. It's fine.
Yeah.
Making him look strong by doing it, but for some reason the security told this time we'll go 1-1, which isn't a smart tactic.
What they need next week is like a full-on police roadblock kind of setup.
Just get the spot grips out on him.
As he just fights his way through
it. So it looked really good, and it caused Sean Spears to lose to Sean Dean, which is less of a big upset than when Sean Dean beat MJF. Because I don't Spears.
Yeah, Sean Spears is he's still a jobber. He was a jobber in WWE, and he went to AEW under all the promises to finally realise his potential. And I would argue that he's further down the card in AEW than he was in WWE.
Yeah.
WWE didn't have a YouTube show to throw him on. That's why. So he's on the YouTube show most of the time.
All I got from that match was Sean beat Sean. Nice.
Screwed Sean. But yeah, it was a one-star. It was fine. It was a one-star match. It was decent what was happening, but it was all about Wardlow mainly. The interview with Yuta, basically Yuta was saying he's bigger than the best friends, which in my eyes he is now, as we'll get to Rampage. Then it's shot to Kingston's team beating the absolute hell out of Jericho's group. Like, got there. It was just an absolute ass kicking, and then Kingston threw a TV at Jericho, but just
and they
missed.
hung the TV back up. That's what I don't understand. Like,
Yeah,
just do it right the TV. Don't just put the broken TV back up.
That line when AJF later was going, "Your TV's broke."
Fix that goddamn TV.
But yeah, I did like Jericho diving into the car like it's 1980s. He full on went for it. That's just to get over the next match. Jade Cargill. This baddies thing is what like these are my baddies. That's the worst thing in the world.
It works if she's a face, but she's going to be a heel. So technically, we should be booing these women because they're fans of Jade Cargill.
But she was just getting over that she's going to be fighting Marina Shafir, who I really like, so it makes me also sad that she's going to lose. Marina Shafir.
And she delivered that last line with all the charisma of a dead fish. I'm a problem solver. Crickets.
So yeah, that happened. There was a lot of promos and stuff in the show. MJF versus Sean Dean next week. So MJF was basically saying that's a one-time thing. I'm hoping Sean Dean somehow wins just for the banter, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Match we were waiting for: the Butcher and the Blade versus the Hardys. Hardys so much by throwing them in these matches. I think they saw the first match of the normal tag team match and went, "We need to do stuff which isn't a normal tag team match."
Yeah, but if they're going to do that, stick to like some semblance of common sense.
The match wasn't. I didn't dislike the match as much as people disliked it, but the rules made no sense.
Yeah, like it's just the fact that obviously they were pushing the whole narrative of you must be put through the table by an offensive maneuver, and it has to be by someone in the match. They decided they wanted to break about 20 tables in this. So by the time someone actually went through a table, it got no reaction. And like the whole having everyone in the match still fighting and putting each other through tables after they've been eliminated, just because there's no disqualification, made no sense. They only did that as they didn't want a tables match that finished after one table break.
With that, it's just one of these ones that I think they've got to the narrative now that if it's no DQ, what you're going to do? You can't stop them being in the match. It was just, yeah, so where are we with this? So yeah, Hardy, Jeff is getting, like, Jeff's really slow at the moment. You see how long it took him to get on the ropes? Like, I don't know it seems like he's got no confidence more than anything, which is very, was out first. Then Matt started battering people with a chair after the break. But it was out due to a Matt Hardy leg drop that actually looked really good. I was surprised by it. Then there was a flex spot over the apron and the table just miraculously vanished. I think Jeff pulled it out of the way, but it was so good that you didn't even see it, so it just looked like it was, where's it gone? There was so many to fight in this match. So many.
That's what I'm saying, like, they broke so many tables that you didn't get a reaction when someone was actually eliminated.
The Swanton Bomb was really good. I enjoyed the Swanton. As I said, I didn't dislike this as much as I kind of suspended my disbelief in what was going on randomly. My cat's just entered the room. I'm glad you all know that now. And then I think Matt should have won the match by putting someone through the table. That would have made more sense rather than Jeff putting someone through the table. But overall, look, in entertainment, fine. If you kind of miss out the rules and just go with the actual stuff that was going on the screen. Like, I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Like, I actually found this fun, which most people didn't. So I'm going to get some hater right now. I rated this 4.5 stars. No. I saw Flozzie's disbelief there.
I was just about to turn the camera off and just, wow.
See, I rated 2 3/4. I actually enjoyed just the shenanigans of the match. It was just a fun table spots and table spots.
There's too many for my liking. They could have done about half the amount of table spots they did and still had a good match.
I think I was just because sometimes it's just fun to watch destruction.
I know, but there's also the law of diminishing returns.
Texas Death Match.
Case in point.
Completely destroyed this match. There is a 0 rating for once, which has actually got a description. Is what he said. I don't always expect much from table matches, but this was rough. The Hardys move around like they were further past their primes than they are, and the entire thing was a mess.
0 stars is a bit harsh, but I agree with the sentiment of the comment.
Look, I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see the opposite. Everyone was shit in this match. There's a 7-star rating here. I'm shocked at all the negative comments and reviews, to be honest. I love the idea of both members of the team needing to be eliminated to allow for way more table spots. Though it was a great match. Overall, Hardys looked a bit slow, but expected, and they still worked.
You go, someone who actually likes the Hardys, liked the match, still says the Hardys were moving about a bit slow.
Age Crew came out again because it's the rivalry that keep happening. But then Sting attacks. Who did he attack? Was it Private Party?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah. Like, just like the
Andrade went on that.
Like the feud end, they've done their 4v4. I don't understand why this is still going.
With that rivalry, it's just they want to do with something with Andrade, but Andrade needs to disappear for a little bit.
Are we going to get him and Sting? Is that what we're going for? I feel like that's the way it's looking.
Let's not do that. So we followed up with that with Christian. Christian's pissed, as you said. That's all over here. And then we announced Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon, which is going to be a great match. And then there was a spot with Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter basically saying who's going to win the Owen Dart Memorial Tournament. I think that's what it's called. I agreed more with Jamie Hayter. I'd rather her win it than Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Tony Storm's debut went flatter than anything within minutes.
Yeah, obviously I won't go into the reasons as I'm a married man, but I'm looking forward to this match.
You're an ass boy, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just a man.
I'll plead the fifth. I'm just saying objectively that I'm looking forward to the match, and we'll leave it at that.
Excellent.
If you
turn down the volume of the crowd, you can hear RJX's. So yeah, that was followed up by Julia Hart versus Shida. The eye patch and Julia Hart's going to be there forever, and they're not going to explain any more longer why she's being this way. Surely it should have been fixed by now. I do like heel Julia Hart.
Yeah.
Weird look that she's like a preppy cheerleader, but she's also mean as fuck. Shida hit a cool running kick. It was pretty decent back and forth, to be fair. I wasn't expecting much from this match. And then Shida ended up winning with the Falcon Arrow. What was the commentary spot normally? She did the deal. That's how they say it, isn't it? With the Falcon Arrow. And actually didn't kick out for once. But yeah, I rated that 2.5. It was just an average women's match, but it was better than most I've seen recently.
Yeah, I knew Julia Hart was quite young, but I didn't realise she was only 20. Like, and her in ring, like, is surprisingly good. I think she's got a good career ahead of her.
She's been wrestling 2 years.
Yeah, but still, if she's this good at 20, she'll be like one of the top women in the industry in the next couple of years, I think.
For a good gimmick, if they continue with like on the same line. If they keep wish-washy gimmicks, then she might struggle in AEW. But yeah, what did you guys think? Is just average for you guys?
Decent match, though. I'm getting a bit tired of Shida. I know we had the continuance of the Professor coming out, Serena Deeb with a little bit of a post-match, but I know Shida isn't on every week, because of like travel and stuff, she's only on like once a month. I still feel like I've seen her too much. Plus, because she's done pretty much the same thing for the last 3 years.
And I see her a lot more because I do watch Tokyo Japan Wrestling as well, so she's on there a few times. But to fair, she's a lot better in TJ because it's all women's wrestling. They allow better matches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's go with a Nirok. I'm going to go with. I don't even know if that's pronounced here. Trainee being given a platform equal to or even higher than some vets. The quality of work versus level of exposure is a strong indicator of the current state of the AEW's appreciation for the women's division. That comment, he rated it a 2, but it sounded positive, and I'm confused.
So was he, apparently.
Yeah, I think if I understand right, he's probably a Ruby Riott stan who's upset that she's on Dark Elevation.
She was big. But yeah, so then there was a backstage brawl with Team Taz versus Liam Swerve. Did like the pounce spot through the wall because it just came out of nowhere, and I did like how there was 2 wrestlers in there going, "What the fuck?"
I do love drywall sections that look like they've been built that day.
Yeah.
You can clearly tell it's like brand new wood on the other side.
Yeah.
If you've got any kind of joinery experience whatsoever, but I still appreciate it. Always looks cool.
On to the main event, which was definitely the match of the night. It wasn't as good as the Supercard match, which I don't think you've still seen, have you?
No, quite honestly, I don't have the funds to pay for it in fact, unless anyone wants to gift me it.
Roy, don't worry. I'll let you in. So yeah, this was a really good match. As well, they got Bobby Cruz to introduce it. Like at the Ring of Honor announcer, he's got like between him and who's the AEW one?
John Roberts.
Justin Roberts.
Justin Roberts, sorry.
All I could think was Tony Chimmel, and I was like, that's definitely not Tony Chimmel. But yeah, I just don't like Justin Roberts. His introduction. It was nice hearing Bobby Cruz. So yeah, there was some shenanigans at the start. It was like FTR pissing around with the Young Bucks with the headband and so forth like that, which was cool character bit. Hit the fan. Dax hit like the most insane pole driver. It just looked brutal. Then like there was just some back and forth. There was good spots. Like it was just a fun match. Cash kicked out of the big rig, which is weird to say, seeing as that's their finisher. But they also did the exact same spot on the Briscoes versus FTR, which Excalibur kind of even hinted at even more. So I think it took away from it a bit more. They did the more spot and they kicked out of that as well. Mm-hmm. The Young Bucks hit the V? What they're calling that? The BTE trigger, isn't it? That's it. The BTE trigger, but I can't remember if it was Wheeler or Dax. He got his foot on the rope, so they were proper milking the Young Bucks that they.
Yeah, it was Cash Wheeler, and they also took the more bang for your buck moonsault 450 combo.
Yes, but the Young Bucks were trying everything to beat them, which is fun. At the same time, it's also like the Young Bucks need to get their shit in. And then tables turned and the FTR hit the FTR trigger, I'm going to call it here, which was just a fun receipt spot. And then they hit the big rig.
Along with the Adam Cole kiss.
Oh, yeah. And then they hit the big rig, the better big rig, and they actually won the match.
Yeah.
Then I enjoy the Supercard match a lot more. Well, not a lot more. From a rating, I rated the Supercard match 4 3/4, but I rated this 4 1/4. So it wasn't that different. I think it's just because it happened once, like twice in a week, and some spots were similar.
Yeah, I'll say this: like, I am not a tribalist, as you guys know. But let's just remember that WWE had these guys shaving each other's backs and putting deep heat on their towels. That's what they saw fit to do with the Revival. A tag team capable of putting on those matches.
Revival missed out. They would be hitting 5 stars for me if they stayed in WWE doing that. Yeah. But yeah, so is there anything else you want to say about that match? I said that was a really good matchup.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was mint. I thought it was a great match, and I do not like the Young Bucks, but you can't. They can't have a bad match with FTR.
Don't mind the Young Bucks. I especially heel Young Bucks because they're dicks, and I think their character suits being dicks.
Because they're dicks.
Yeah, pretty much. They're good Christian boys. But yeah, it was just a good match. The Dave Meltzer rating's fine for me. He rated 4 3/4 stars.
What did he give it? 4 3/4.
So it wasn't over. I think he rated the what did he rate the Briscoe? He rated that 5 stars, the actual Briscoe match. But he still rated the Briscoes better, which I'm fine with. Someone rated it a 2 on Cage Match because I'm guessing they hate the Young Bucks.
Jim Connor.
Oh, they didn't leave a rating. They didn't leave an actual. Oh no, read all comments. I didn't realise that was a button. That might be the reason I couldn't see them beforehand. Oh, here we go. Where's the red? There we go. Hard to watch if this was from Hfield07. To watch if somehow possible. I think less rules were enforced by Knox than usual. The Young Bucks sorely need time away to be missed, if at all. Their formulatics box disregard any rules in wrestling serves as confusing messes for those just wanting to start watch. Does any team have to follow any rules? So basically, all he's saying is he didn't like that the rules weren't followed. I'm not reading it.
Or he just forgot that AEW used a 10-second count to get your partner out of the ring instead of a 5.
Yeah, but they also don't follow the rope tag rules and stuff like that. It's just one of them things. And AEW have stayed the same, though. They've not just changed it for random matches. They've always been random. Like, they don't really follow the rules as much. Like, look at how many table spots happens in singles matches. It just happens.
True.
But yeah, so that's the review of Dynamite. I think we probably should follow this up with Rampage just because it makes sense to continue AEW with AEW, and I think SmackDown was the best event of the week.
Did you say best or mess?
Top 5 shows of April. I've only watched 5 shows.
No
negativity.
negativity,
Write notes
please.
for this, so if you want to go.
Yeah, no worries. Let me just bring them up on my system. So, of course...
Like, I've got the matches.
Yeah. So, we opened up with Brian Danielson. Good God, I'm JR impression there. With Brian Danielson against Trent Beretta, both already in the ring, and they hit straight into it right off the bat. Trent has this way of making you forget he's actually good in the ring until you watch one of his matches and you're surprised at how good he is. But I find I say that with every Trent Beretta match to the point I shouldn't be.
Because of the best friends ethic, it's just the best friends kind of bring that kind of image out. But all singles wrestlers, but then you just think of the best friends in general.
Mm-hmm. So they had a really, really good back and forth. Some good suplex spots. A half and half suplex that looked absolutely brutal as Danielson went careering towards the corner. Thought he was going to keep going and smash his head in the corner, but managed to flip himself round in time. A really beautiful finish with a variation of label lock, where instead of doing his usual under the chin, it's like proper yanking his neck round that he'd been throwing through the match.
What they call it? What they call that move now?
Cravat.
It was a mini cravat, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, really beautiful finish to that. I do love Danielson changing up his finish every time. Like, I don't think he's done the same finish to a match twice in a row since he's joined AEW.
He did for a few times. He did do the triangle bicep flex one for a few times in a row, but that's about it. Like the rest, he has swapped them around. Even like he said, the bow lock was normally it's that move, but he actually twisted the neck.
Yeah, right. I thought this was a good quality match. Obviously not match of the night, which we'll come on to. But I didn't apply a star rating. But if I was going to pluck one out there, I'd say maybe a 3.25.
How much I rated it? There you go.
Yeah.
We're on the live.
Not
The
bad.
only-
I didn't see your tweet at all on it. So,
But yeah, I looked on Cage Match. Like the lowest rating is 6 rating, so no one shat on it, so it's not worth it.
so that was followed up by I believe the Swerve promo. Basically just saying about the match, the events that happened on Dynamite, and leading into his match with QT Marshall. I won't go as far to say it was a squash match, but Marshall got very little offense in, and Swerve won with his finish. I'll be honest, I was kind of not paying much attention at this point. I was watching this at like 6 this morning, and my wife was just getting ready to leave, so I was saying my goodbyes and love yous as she was going out the door, and missed the finish.
So what you're saying is Frozzy's putting work in front of this podcast, and you're putting through your wife in front of this podcast. What is this?
My wife comes ahead of everything. My mum watches this as well, so even if my wife doesn't, my mum might highlight this.
Out last podcast.
He's trying to score brownie points, and he's using our platform to do it.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, this whole platform's just for his actual family social gatherings. I rated that 2.25. It was better than a squash match, but it didn't really do much past that.
Yeah, obviously you had Ricky
Go
Starks.
past the 5 minutes. Yeah, it did go past the 5 minutes, so I can give you a good old cage match review.
Cool.
There's a 3-star rating, which was Gustavo Tulalimi, which was the polar opposite of RV versus Willow, so Red Velvet versus Willow. It was nothing much match that dragged despite being short. Swerve did nothing, not win nothing with it. QT was selling his ass off and never got any offense, and pretty much he's just rounding it off it as a squash match.
So based on that, I've clearly got my notes the wrong way around, because we had Willow against Red Velvet.
That was the next match. I don't know why yeah, that was the next match.
Yeah, I've got my notes the wrong way around, obviously. So that was a decent back and forth. Obviously, I hadn't seen the Willow Mercedes match from Ring of Honor, but I'd heard good reviews about it. To the point that even a few people were putting confidence points on Willow, which I didn't understand going into it, but having seen that match, I do kind of get it. It does make sense that the one who isn't signed to AEW loses the match. But yeah, they were talking about Red Velvet having this new heelish side of her character, which I didn't really see, to be honest, until she was kind of showboating at the finish. I don't know about yourself, but Red Velvet doesn't strike me as being very heelish.
I think the match made her slightly heelish because everyone loves Willow. She's like a fun-loving girl. And then they were booing the absolute hell out of Red Velvet. Like Willow's reaction was like really, really top tier reaction. Like I've seen Mercedes Martinez this weekend, but then the only time I've ever seen her normally, she's in a tag team with Solo Darling, which is on the Indies. I think it's what's it called, Bird and the Bees. But I've seen her a few times in that tag team, so I've never actually seen her mainly as a single star. But she's decent. She's got star, and she's just like a fun-loving, happy face. It's always nice to see. There's not like anything behind her. It's just she's fun-loving.
And anything that's not your cookie cutter blonde model is always refreshing as well. Like, I love seeing women of different body shapes and wrestling styles and everything on the roster to mix it up, instead of some WWE matches where you see 4 blonde women with extensions that are purely there for Vince's entertainment.
But yeah, so that was just average. Like it was an average match. Like I rated it 2.5, but like it was good for a women's match that didn't have much time. like
And Red
Um,
Velvet's improving
like-
as well. Like, her spots look a bit more snug and clean now. When I first started watching her in AEW, I was wondering why she was even getting TV time. Like, her throwing punches should be miles off. Like, she'd be dead loose with her offense. Nothing looked like it connected, but
as well to herself. Like the amount of time she did a dive, she used to. Do you remember when Sasha Banks used to do like the dives, but she used to land like that?
yeah.
Like that would be her body, and all the time, like face first. But yeah, she had like Red Velvet's getting there. I don't mind when you can see the improvement and it's not being forced upon you. But yeah, she's definitely getting there. Some rated her 1 star on cage match because people hate women. Viper TJ61. How you so not? So I don't know if that's not English. How you so not over that the fans are praying you lose to a jobber who isn't even good? You know what else isn't good? This match. Unit. That's what that match. But yeah, it was average.
Yeah. Oh well, what do you do? Like, it's not to everyone's taste, I guess. It seemed really harsh. It's just someone who doesn't like women's wrestling.
Yeah, I skipped the whole of it, but I only saw it. When did the Sammy Guevara crap happen? Because I kind of just skipped forward without caring.
So, for one, it was obnoxiously long. Like, I've long said, even before the whole High 20 stuff, that making fans read is a heel move. Like,
About they had something with
American Top Team.
Dan Lambert. That was on Rampage where they were having like an argument, and I kind of didn't care, and then it ended with Guevara calling someone a bitch, and I didn't watch any of it. As soon as it happened, I was like, I don't care about this feud.
Yeah, but by the time he went through all his cards, he was getting booed heavily. It was like X-Pac go away heat.
Yeah, that was on Dynamite, wasn't it? It was just, I just don't care for. He's just rubbing it into people's faces too much, and it's not heel heat. It's, as you said, it's X-Pac. I don't want to see you anymore heat.
Yeah, it was just.
At least he's crazy.
Ish. And quoting Chris Jericho as well, so I don't know if he's hinting at joining the sports entertainment, like Jericho Appreciation Society. You know what he says, will you please shut the hell
No, because
up?
that's fine.
Let's see. So, if memory serves, we were on to our main event pretty much straight after that, weren't we? Other than a quick recap of the Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa. Got like a 30-second video package, if I remember rightly.
Another thing I don't care about, really.
Sad, but somewhat true. Like, it's just enough in feud to keep Thunder Rosa busy until our next challenger reveals herself. That she'll probably be the winner of the Owen Cup.
Storm it'll be, I think. I feel like they're going to thrust it down your throat.
Hashtag 3-week push.
Hashtag OnlyFans.
So yeah.
But yeah, can't believe you're not this yet for Ozzy.
I'm about to gush more about this main event than Wheeler Yuta's forehead did. They've been telling an absolutely brilliant story with this from the get-go. So they had their tag match. They could have caught their eye, but obviously it's not that simple. He then had to kind of prove himself from a technical standpoint against Brian, and then stand up to a brutal assault from John Moxley. Two completely different styles, and if he could hang on both, then he'd get the handshake and be welcomed in. And this was the very definition of a star-making performance. Yuta was handling everything that Moxley threw at him. Got busted open fairly early on, and it wasn't just like the trickling. It was gushing. You could see like trails of blood everywhere he went. It was quite.
It was
Like, to the point that it wouldn't have killed it that much if a referee just could have wrapped a bandage around his head or something. Because, well, it was absolutely gross, the amount of blood that he was pissing out, but it was absolutely encapsulating just watching him kick out of paradigm shifts. Even down to the finish where he put him away with the elevated paradigm shift. Like, the look on Moxley's face was like, holy hell, like, did you see that? Did you see that? He just pushed me to my limit. What the hell? Like, there was genuine shock and happy surprise on Moxley's face. And of course, they pretend to transform him, and Willie Reeves is doing his back down, so I'm going to hit you before extending the hand. Like, Yuta is a star, and that really cemented it. I would put this against any of the matches at WrestleMania. That's how much I love this match.
I think
Big
there's
shit on it for
barring
you.
one. Barring one.
Yeah, it doesn't touch Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. But
Anything else?
it's definitely in my top 3 or 4 matches of the last couple of weeks. That includes WrestleMania.
I did like as well that Moxley used was it a Regal knee?
Mm.
They were entailing some Regal moves. I'm waiting for them to use the Regal stretch. Well, it's going to be Danielson that uses it, but I'm waiting for the Regal stretch. That's when I'm going to pop. But yeah, I really enjoyed the match as well. I said I literally watched it probably about 10 minutes before the podcast started. It was brutal. Like, DDT was the paradigm shift. It was insane. The elevated one. He literally dropped him like on his neck. And then he kicked out and then he choked him out with just the normal sleeper. But like, yeah, it was just grim. The ending as well with the shake of hand and then Wheeler Yuta, was it Blackpool Combat Code, isn't it? It's a BCC in his actual chest in blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which the whole storyline was, I won't team with you until you bleed with me, which... No.
He certainly did more than enough for both of them.
So I rated that 4 stars, that match.
I would have gone like... Yeah, I would have gone with about a 4.5. I would say that was as good as the Cody Seth match from WrestleMania. Obviously, 2 different types of matches altogether. But the heat going into it, the story of the match to the finish. And it may just be because I'm a huge fan of William Regal. Like, I know Regal hates the term mark. I'll just say that I'm a big fan of Regal, so this whole storyline is already adding an extra star rating to everything they do. But yeah, I loved it.
You'd be glad to know as well in Cage Match, there was still like a low rating-ish for what it was. It was a 6, but it wasn't. No, that's fine.
6 is like a high at a WWE match.
No one rated it like a 1 or a reason.
What did Meltzer rate it? Did you see?
Got it yet? There's nothing on here yet, so unless it's been announced, but I can't see anything on it.
Yeah.
Get the AEW bonus.
It's Meltzer. It's going to be about 4. It's going to be 4.5 or 4.3. Yeah, it's going to be close to 5.
Yeah.
I think it'll be 5.
That was Rampage. Obviously, they've got a few matches announced for the live show next week and for Dynamite in New Orleans. But we'll cover those shows once they happen next week.
So we'll move on to SmackDown, which is a proper... this is going to be brief. I've barely written any notes for it. Not because I didn't care, not because I didn't want to. It's just there was barely anything that happened. Worth noting. So it started off with Ronda Rousey. She came out and basically said she was fine with losing, but she wants Charlotte in an I Quit match. Charlotte came on the Titantron basically saying that she couldn't beat her in checkers, I think, was it? Checkers or Twiddlywinks, I think it was.
Yeah.
She refused the match, so that match isn't happening. but it is happening because it's already been announced. Hopefully, that there's no way any shenanigans that Rousey's going to lose that, is there?
No, I don't.
I think she'll win it, and then Charlotte will get it back at SummerSlam.
If that match happens, which I think is WrestleMania Backlash, I'm top locking Charlotte, everyone. Just so you know.
Hopefully we're not teaming.
I think I'm going to go with Muzzer, hopefully, if that happens. So yeah, this Woods versus Butch.
Yeah, it was the stadium match.
For the whole match, and then lost by a roll up, and it made me sad. Like, why? The whole match, he was literally in control for the whole match. He lost by a small package. It was decent enough, the match. I rated it 2 1/4, but it still was, why did this happen?
Of course, the temper tantrum after. Right.
It's going to be like him going away. He's not going away. He's going to be in that group for a while.
Yeah, temper tantrum after, like, and then they literally set him up in the top rope, like putting a kid in the naughty step.
Scrappy Doo.
He's pissed. That's all I wrote for that.
And if you think that was something that makes you sad, right? Yeah, the next bit makes me a bit sad.
Segueing. We're getting to the moment where we're going to segue stuff. I didn't know we're at this part of the podcast. But yeah, cage match wise, it was actually fine. Like, people rated it 5 stars and stuff like that. So no one actually shat on the match, which I was really surprised by. But unless this is what, yeah, you're on about Sami Zayn.
No, I was on about a certain Austrian man's main roster debut.
Zayn promo before this, yeah. Sami Zayn was unhappy, but he was basically having a go with Adam Pearce, and he said the next person that's going to walk through the door, I'm going to face. So obviously Drew McIntyre walks through. McIntyre literally goes, right guys, and then carries on, and that's it. Then so Zayn tries to get out of it by saying no, the next person, and Pearce will know the match is already official, like, because you know that's as soon as he said it, it's official. But yes, spot. It was Ludwig Kaiser, who El Bartel, who is also Axel Dieter Jr. Axel Dieter Jr. is a great name. Why is he not called Axel Dieter Jr. still?
WWE don't own the rights to it.
Yeah, but why have you changed his name again? Ludwig Vorga, sorry, they're flipping the WWE. But yeah, my exact reaction was Ludwig Kaiser. Yep. So it was Gunther versus Joe Alonso. I've seen Joe Alonso before, supposedly. I looked at my ratings and I've actually rated him before. Can't remember when, but I've rated him before. This was just an ultimate chop squash match. Getting over Gunther as a worthy opponent. I rated it 1 star because it was just literally him blistering the guy for a few minutes.
It'll never not be entertaining watching that.
I will say
this was followed by the next. Yeah.
I will say just quickly on the name change that Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser as like 2 names back to back work better than Walter and Marcel Bartel.
Yeah, Marcel Bartel's a bit fancy in it. That's about as far as I can see why it would be an issue.
Yeah, as I was saying to my wife when we were watching Stand and Deliver, I explained to her that the guy Marcel Bartel with the French sounding name is German, and the guy Fabian Eichner with the German sounding name is Italian. Just so you're aware. So
I wonder what they're going to change Fabian Eichner's name to.
So I can maybe see why they've changed Bartel's.
Do you have to tell her that? Do you have to tell her that Gunther doesn't work in Central Park in Friends?
No, I just referred to him as Walter the whole time.
Keep Eichner's name.
What's that?
Do you think they're going to keep Eichner as Eichner?
Depends
No,
what
they're
they're
going to
going
change
to do
it.
with them.
You're going
They're
to call
going
him
to
something
change
like
it.
Andre Pirlo. Ultimate something like that, you know? But yeah, so that was a squash match. This was followed by a new name change, you know, because we need 2 new name changes again. So it was a Smiley Raquel Gonzalez, or as we will call her now, Raquel Rodriguez. You know, she's Mexican. Let's make her more Mexican. Pretty much that's what that is.
Pretty much.
And to make him even more Mexican, we're going to make her have like a kind of skit with Los Lotarios. Throw everyone in this kit.
I was kind of hoping they would go through with it, just as a kind of ha-ha to Braun Strowman / Adam Scherr. It's WWE are petty like that, but
Weird as well. It's just she was really smiley, and I couldn't. It just she's a badass woman, and now they've just made a smiley Raquel Rodriguez.
She's
And that
joining
was
Happy
followed by-
Corbin.
at least he's not doing the cowgirl stuff anymore. Like,
What was her name then? It was like Raquel Rain, or was it now?
Reina
Name
Gonzalez.
then. Gonzalez, that was it. But yeah, so that Frozzy nearly did the perfect segue. This followed by Happy Talk with Happy Corbin. But it is actually unhappy Corbin at the moment. Basically, Corbin's unhappy, lost to McIntyre, but Madcap Moss is having the dream time. Made some dodgy jokes, which I wish I writ down, but I can't remember them now.
I can't remember them either because they were cut out of the YouTube. It just skipped straight to the main part of it. They completely skipped over the jokes.
We all wanted, which is Corbin versus Madcap Moss. I'm excited.
I think Madcap Moss does have potential as face.
He does, but I can understand he needs to get past Corbin, but I just also don't want to see him versus Corbin.
Yeah, I just don't want to see the match. I understand why it's happening. I just don't want to see it.
Yeah. Because Corbin, McIntyre, we haven't seen that yet. McIntyre versus Zayn, which was just, it was fine for the 2 minutes, and then Zayn won anything with the match. He tried to escape once. McIntyre caught him on the stage, if I remember, threw him back in. Then he escaped again, but he went around, and McIntyre went, "Yeah, I can't be bothered." For what it is, I rated it 1 1/4, which it was better than the Gunther match. In like there was bits of fun bits in there, but it was just he just didn't want it.
Yeah. Yeah, this was completely nothing.
I liked the next spot. I did really like the Lacey Evans promo.
I liked it as well. There's a few people that, in some of the groups that really didn't like it. But
which is good.
It was real. That's what.
Yeah, like good luck trying
Because
to
it is
boo
her.
a genuine American hero who served her
Was good
country, who's had a tough upbringing, but is raising her kids the right way, looking after her family. Yeah, good luck trying to boo that. If you boo
They
that,
took
you're
the
a real
twang out of her as well.
Yeah.
Like she used to have. I don't know if it was. I can't remember if she had it still, but she had like a really fake Southern twang.
Yeah, that was just
Promo. It wasn't there, was it?
Yeah, it's because she was doing the Southern Belle gimmick.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's just got her over in my eyes straight away. I liked Lacey Evans anyway. She had some decent matches with like Becky Lynch and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like Lacey as a performer. I didn't like her storylines, but that's obviously nothing to do with her. That's not her fault.
She's just doing what she's given.
Massive. My favourite storyline of that year was Ric Flair's baby. That was my favourite. Moving on. So we ended with the main event. Well, it wasn't. There's something happened after this, but this was the main event, which was Banks versus Liv Morgan.
And speaking of women who have improved, obviously we're talking about Red Velvet having improved a lot. Liv Morgan's one that's improving a lot, and you can see that improvement week to week.
She's great. I like Liv Morgan.
To the point she's not looking out of place against people like Sasha Banks and stuff now.
She had a solid match with Lynch, didn't she, on pay-per-view as well?
Yeah.
Day one. But yeah, I don't think she was that like she didn't have a. it's just she didn't was the matches she had previously. She didn't have time in them. They were just literally squash matches or just usual women matches that last 2 minutes. So I think she was decent anyway. But like this proved like she's getting there, which is great. And also against Banks, which is good. About this match, it wasn't anything to do with the match. It was Naomi on commentary. It was basically, it made it sound like her and Sasha Banks have been like tagging for 20 years.
Yeah, and talk about she would never let Sasha go to another show by herself, like Rhea did to Liv.
Tagging for 4 weeks. Leave me alone. It's just like, but yeah, it was a good match, and I can't. Did Liv win by a roll up? I think it was a roll up.
Yes.
It wasn't a clear finish, wasn't it?
It was a super being countered down to one of the
cradle, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it honestly looks like both shoulders were down, but I think she got her shoulder
I thought that's where they were going.
Yeah, but it looks like she got her shoulder up either intentionally or accidentally, I don't know, but certainly it was a nice finish and it was nice, tight cradle.
Yeah.
In a quarter, because it was decent for what it was. Did anyone shit on? See, no one shat on this match either. So I'm telling you, it's just AEW people shit on. But yeah, so it was fine. And then this followed by Roman Reigns coming out, who basically wants all of the unifications, as I was saying earlier. He wants the Usos to win the titles. Roman wants the titles. So I was really surprised that who came out for this. All Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, that was like a lamb of the slaughter.
He wants Reigns though. Like I wouldn't mind that as a match if they make Shinsuke wrestle as Shinsuke, not just random crap. Like he wrestles how he can wrestle, it'd be a good match.
Yeah.
Won't be, because they won't.
I did find the line in it a little bit clunky where he says, after WrestleMania, there's one of me, I've got 2 titles. But you look at them, there's 2 of them, they've only got 2 titles. Like, obviously meaning like, they've only got 1 title.
Yeah.
He had to try and think on his feet to course correct by saying they should have 4 titles. Like, it's just weird.
But yeah, so
I did enjoy
beat
the
down
hug.
at the end. Yeah.
I did enjoy the hug with the island irrelevancy. Oh, and bring it in. Show your tribal chiefs some love. So super kick him. I did enjoy that.
And that was the end of SmackDown.
It wasn't as skippable as last week's was, but there also wasn't really much happened of positive note.
It was 2 matches of squashes, and then an open that ended weird, and then the main event was just there. They announced Zayn versus McIntyre next week again, by the way.
Is it False Count Anywhere or anything, or are they just straight up match?
It's a singles match, and then we got Ricochet versus Jinder Mahal.
Don't hinder Jinder.
It wasn't there with Jinder Mahal, and Rousey came up back, and Jinder was like, I'm not done. Actually, I'm done. Because, Rousey's going to kill me. But yeah, that was actually announced.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
Must see television.
Well, SmackDown
this week is, yeah.
It wasn't the best SmackDown, but it wasn't as bad as the Go Home show. So hopefully it'll pick up a little bit, but it just seems everything's spinning plates at the moment.
All sounds decent this week. They've announced Styles versus Priest, which should be good.
Gonna have a fucky finish, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Miz versus Rhodes. Rey Mysterio versus Via. So we're going to see the in-ring debut of Via.
That'll be a squash. That won't go more than 5 minutes.
And Sasha versus Liv and Rhea, which will not go well. And then Rhea's going to turn and Liv, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, might she'll join Edge's Brood 2.0. So, That's all the
That's the
wrestling.
end of the reviews.
Yeah.
So let us know down in the comment, guys. What was your show or match of the week? And we are now finally, after weeks of arguing and going back and forth with support, we are also now on Apple Podcasts. So you can add that to the long list. So we're on here at Honor Club Wrestling on YouTube. We are Honor Club Wrestling on Spotify, on Podbean, and now Apple Podcasts as well. So give us like, follow, subscribe on those various platforms if you please. Get this shared amongst your wrestling buddies. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap this up?
And I'll whack it on DVD for you as well. Don't worry.
No, all good this end. Just enjoying keeping going and looking forward to more episodes.
Indeed. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
See you guys.
Well.
Bye.